Thursday, October 22nd, 2020, and with only 12 days left before Election Day, I'll be joined this morning by David Weissman. He's a former Trump supporter, an ex-MAGA turned liberal activist, and he's going to discuss the state of the race with us today, as well as give us some insight about what helped him flip. All of this and more on the AM Report. Good morning, everybody, and thanks for joining the broadcast. It is Thursday, October 22nd. We've got 12 days left until Election Day, and we've got some top headlines to discuss before we have David Weissman onto the program this morning. Senate Democrats have boycotted the Judiciary Committee vote to advance Amy Coney Barrett to the full Senate. Chairman Lindsey Graham has advanced the nomination despite the lack of a quorum, breaking Senate rules. New U.S. coronavirus cases have surpassed 60,000 for the second day. The death toll in the United States is now above 220,000. Former New York Mayor and Trump personal attorney Rudy Giuliani is caught up in a really embarrassing scandal as details of the new Borat movie show that he was touching himself in a hotel room with an actress who was purportedly 15 years old. The final presidential debate between Joe Biden and Donald Trump will air tonight at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, and as of today, more than 45 million Americans have now voted in the 2020 presidential election, according to the U.S. Elections Project. And speaking of the election, this morning I am joined by David Weissman. He is a steering committee member of the Lincoln Project, and he's an ex-Trump supporter turned liberal activist. Please welcome David Weissman to the program. David, how are you?
Hi, how are you? Thank you for having me on.
It's good to see you this morning, and I have been following you for a long time. I find you really interesting because you were a diehard Trump supporter in 2016, and around 2018, you started to flip towards more democratic politics, and the change started because of a Twitter conversation that you had with comedian Sarah Silverman. Is that right?
That is absolutely correct. Normally, when you're, Republican conservatives, a lot of conservatives like to troll Hollywood celebrities, and there's always seemed to be like sort of like a friction between them because conservatives believe that Hollywood never speaks for them. They believe that some actually believe they are like part of the deep state entity that conservatives always talk about. And so they always try to troll and try to say, hey, what you guys are saying is wrong about America because they think, they want to take your rights away. That's the perception that conservatives have of Democrats is they want to take our rights. And so this was during a time on Twitter where conservatives were saying that they were being shadow banned. And what that is, they're not getting a lot of engagement or retweets or likes on their tweets, so they feel like they're being suppressed. So, for some odd reason, I just felt the need to troll her and Stephen Colbert in a tweet using their, pictures of them in their Nazi outfits, doing their comedy, and say, hey, Jack, why are you silencing conservatives? But, you let these liberals do whatever they want. And normally when you do, when you troll a celebrity, they normally block you or they insult you, and, it's a normal, everyday Twitter engagements. But she actually replied, talking about callous humor that's not meant to be offensive but subjective. And I was kind of surprised by that because, she responded and it wasn't nasty. And then I kind of thought about, hey, she's Jewish, I'm Jewish, Trump is pro-Israel, so why not, see why doesn't she like Trump? And she told me why she didn't. And she actually asked why I did. So I was kind of also surprised that she actually wanted to know why I like Trump. And so I did. I told her why I did, and then and I said our engagements were very respectful. There was no name calling or insults. She didn't try and change my views. Then I kind of thought, you know what? Why do liberals believe in the crazy things they do, like care about illegal aliens more than the military? Or why do they want to take away our guns? why do they support Obama? Different things like that. And I actually asked her that, and she actually replied again, saying that we can actually care about the military and immigrants because we're a nation of immigrants. And then when she quoted me, a lot of her followers came into the discussion, showing me about seeking asylum laws, how it's a human right, how it's actually allowed for people who come in our country. Yeah, that's not the normal immigration standard, and I was kind of surprised about that because you never hear that in conservative media. It's always like you have to come here illegally. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So when I was learning some of this, I was kind of like, whoa, kind of for that. This is information that's left out. And I learned in the military, it was a Democrat that created a GI Bill, and that's a program that I'm using right now for college. And um, so that was another kind of surprising fact that I learned. And so and I asked her again, hey, why do liberals want to take the guns away? And she said, and everybody knows how progressive she is. And she said, no, we don't want to take your guns away. So I was kind of like, wait a minute, this Hollywood celebrity doesn't want to take her guns? And then, and I started learning more things, and I started learning about President Obama. And I was gonna, and then, he's actually, American, born in Hawaii. Um, and, he did a lot of wonderful things for our country. He wasn't this enemy that, and he's actually condemned, terrorism. He doesn't support it like I used to think. And I learned about Hillary Clinton, how she actually was investigated for a long time. I mean, can you imagine if Trump actually went through the investigations and trials that she did? And she proved her case, and she over time and time again, and she did a lot of wonderful things for New York and our country. And this is kind of stuff that you never hear on conservative media about them because they always portray them as the bad guys, the enemy that wants to
I think
destroy America.
I think for me, David, this is like therapy because I was everyone who knows me already knows. So full disclosure to my viewers, I was a big Hillary Clinton supporter in 2016. And I found it so troubling that there was such a dichotomy in the way that people viewed the same person in such a radically different way. And so for me, it's like almost therapy to talk to you, someone who used to be on the side that thought so differently and have you kind of come around to the way that we see it just through your own investigation and soul searching? We have a really good question for you from a viewer. What do you think it will take to rehabilitate Trump supporters back into civil society and restore their engagement and faith in democracy? That's from True Spokes.
Well, with the engagements that I had with Sarah and other liberals, I was accepted for who I was when I was a Trump supporter. And I think to show them, hey, that we do care about them, that they're not being unheard, I think that will go a long way to try to, like, heal our country. I know big problem right now, I think, and I put a lot of blame is right-wing media, with the fear-mongering, hate-mongering, indoctrination. That's what we need to break through, and I think that's what we need to fight. Even when Joe Biden is elected, that's what we need to work on. And I think Trump supporters, conservatives, need to realize that hey, we're Dems, and you get that we have different values and different beliefs, but we care about you too. And then realize, hey, United States, you're supposed to have independent thought, and I think that can go a long way in rebuilding our country.
And you're in Florida, David, and Florida is a state that went for Trump in 2016, and now is a toss-up state. Are you seeing anything on the ground in terms of the state of the race? We know that there's a record-breaking amount of early votes in the state. There's 1 million plus voters who have already voted in Florida. But what are you seeing on the ground in Florida, and what are the chances for Joe Biden there?
Well, from the numbers that I'm seeing right now, Democrats are leading the votes, but I actually volunteered to be a poll grader for my county. So once I go there and actually, in the vicinity of it and have a better understanding of where people are voting, But from what I'm reading and what I'm hearing on the news, it seems pretty close. But I think Democrats right now are leaning, and that can be because of the mail-in voting. But it's still early to see. But I think it can go either way. My area that I live in is pretty conservative. So, but I know if you go to like Orlando or Miami, Tampa, even the more populated cities is very liberal. Florida is like a purple state overall.
And right now, you are working with the Lincoln Project, which is become pretty much a flashpoint, really sensational organization. They're a group of conservatives and Republicans who have decided to turn away from Trump and have really won the messaging game in terms of any types of political advertising there is out there. They are killing the game. What is your experience with Project Lincoln like, and what do you think the impact has been with Project Lincoln on changing the state of the race?
I think it's been a huge impact, and I think they're doing really awesome work, and as you can see in 2016 and other previous elections, the Democrats are always too nice. Very Democrats are very kind-hearted people, and because I gotten to know many of them and love each and every one of them, and I think that's one of the cool things about the Lincoln Project that let Joe Biden and his campaign be the good guys, and we'll take the fight to the Trump team if we had to, and there's also a misconception too that people don't realize that there are Democrats that do assist and work with the Lincoln Project as well. So, and I think what's great about these guys is Joe Biden wins, maybe we can get to a place where we can you know just talk about politics, have disagreements, agreements, try to get the country to a better state of mind when it comes to politics.
Yeah, one of the things I've been noticing a lot, even in the Senate Judiciary Committee this morning, Senator Mike Lee decided to take to his microphone and sort of criticize the left. He uses the word the left and the Democrats and lots of hyperbole. And from our top elected officials, it's so problematic. It's really divisive rhetoric to just paint an entire swath of people as the left and call them radical or call them X, Y, and Z. And it really is a divisive tactic. And what I'm seeing much more of, and maybe this is biased, but tell me if you agree, and even with hearing you talk about the Lincoln Project and coming to understand that the Lincoln Project isn't actually just conservatives, it's a sort of bipartisan collaboration, is that there's a need and a desire for people to unify towards our common interests. And I'm hearing much more of that from groups like the Lincoln Project and even Joe Biden, who says, "I'll be a proud Democratic president, but I'll govern as an American president." What do you think it's going to take for people to unify and to get back to a more united place as we move forward?
I think the first thing that we need to do is beat Trump and also beat the Republicans that help enable him. Once we get rid of them, I think that we can work on rebuilding, some bipartisan efforts. And yeah, like what you said about how the left is, Democrats are labeled as left. That's part of the right wing fear mongering propaganda media that where they get it from. They label. I mean, I was kind of when I first really got to know Democrats, I was really surprised to see how there were different perspectives inside the Democratic Party, from moderates to progressive. You know, it is such a huge tent, and I think right media really does a disservice to our country to just label everybody the left, and also make it like it's a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. There's like so many people that don't have the same rights as I'm a white straight guy. I can go anywhere and not worry about being judged. I can, if I wanted to go get a weapon, I can carry and say, hey, it's my Second Amendment right. I can do all of these things. I have health care. I have, and I can live right in this country. And a black person, a Muslim, immigrant, they don't have that kind of luxury. And and I think once we get these freaking Republicans like Moscow Mitch and Lindsey Graham out of office, that'll definitely help as well as winning Trump.
Absolutely. We got a lot of comments as we roll out this morning. We're coming near our end, but True Spoke says, I really hear your point about feeling accepted on the Trump side. I think progressives need to do a lot of real soul searching about their current state of ideological rigidity and how it drives people away if they're not exactly towing the line. Keep it lifted, I guess. It says these people realize how atrocious this last term has been and are tired of it. The people want and deserve a positive change. Biden 2020. So, David, I think as we roll out, I just want to say that there's a difference between adversaries and enemies. And there used to be a time where people on opposing ends of political ideology were merely adversaries who sought to compete on the merits and win based on the merits of their argument. And when we have such a divided time where we view our political opponents as our enemies, really, when you think about it, enemies seek merely to destroy each other. And until we get to a time where we can learn to agree to disagree and have these arguments and have these debates in a way that's civil and let the best arguments rise to the top, we'll continue to roll down this divided path. One of my really good friends, I'm a LGBT liberal from California, and one of my very dear friends is a conservative from South Carolina. We've been friends for 11 years, and we met up for barbecue last week. And it is possible to rise above these partisan divides and to view each other as people again. But I think it's just going to take a concerted effort. David, where can people follow you and support you if they want to learn more about you and learn more about the Lincoln Project?
Sure, they can follow me on Twitter at David M. Weissman, and I write for Demcast, Times of Israel, and sometimes on the Forward.
Very good. This has been David Weissman. Very pleased to join the broadcast. Thank you so much. On the AM Report with Alex Mahajer for Haps News, the network of Now. We are live every weekday morning at 7:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Eastern with all of your quick political news and headlines to get your day started right. If you like this journalism, if you like this content, please consider sponsoring it. Visit me at haps.tv/@Alex. Thanks so much. And tomorrow I'll be joined by constitutional scholar Miranda Yaver to discuss what's on the ballot. Thanks so much, David, for joining.